Hey Nisa, so I want to do this video regarding the flow-based programming. So once all the user management is in place, the IPN's all set up, and people can pay to get in to use this flow-based programming, which is kind of free to everybody if they know how to install it themselves. But we're gonna install it ourselves, and it gonna keep the code within us so that we can share it with our community of people who are in it. Okay. And so once they're in it, we'll create our own RSI, our own MACD, our own um, stuff, but also APIs that can connect to Haas. So the RSI MACD stuff we'll create later, but right now this will be tuning for Haas so that we don't have to create from scratch. All we do is create the connection with flow-based programming to Haas so that we can set up Mad Hatter bots. We can then go directly into tuning the settings, and then once we're done with that, we later on we can create our own MACD or RSI, basically recreate the Mad Hatter bot on our own using flow-based programming, and then connect that right into it, and then we can kind of skip the Haas licensing kind of deal, but also share that with the community so that people can then collectively pour into their own stuff, and then use Mad Hatter strategy and create many bots along the way, and monitor them without having to use Haas basically. But for now, we will use Haas just to speed up development. So let's go ahead and switch over and show you how it's done here. I've put the link here for TriSlang. TriSlang did a much better job of describing flow-based programming. A lot of them, like these little components here on the inside, like you have to kind of create it by code and then you connect them later on. But I wanted to kind of create it with code to create kind of like, this is like a microchip in a sense, and then have smaller microchips be part of a bigger microchip, and then that way we can create like, hey, this is the MACD, this is the RSI, and then boom, this is Mad Hatter. Mad Hatter connects to a bigger one, and then that's the tuner, and kind of thing, so that we can visually see how things are flowing, kind of thing. So let me kind of play it real quick, kind of. Whole video of this is 5 minutes long. They show like an image kind of thing to kind of make it grayscale or whatever, and kind of do stuff with it, and then they run it. So what we'll do is kind of like create our inputs and our output ports, and so it seems really easy to use just by watching this video. But other ones like FlowHub and other stuff, they don't really do that. It's just more like a promotional video, and
with Intuit Browser, course flow.
I get it, but it's hard to see what's inside, unless I install it. This was kind of like an inside look of it, and I can totally program real easily with this, like, because I get it, I can see it. Okay, so with that, other requirements for this is to make sure that it is free to use. You could just download it, and it's open source under the Apache 2 license, so you could just totally install it and just throw it in there. But if other ones, I mean, still ask him, see which one's best. I don't know, Node-RED and all this stuff has something similar to Slang, but Slang seems to be the one that's closest to it. Another requirement is that to make sure that all of them, there's a way for us to connect this code directly to GitHub, which is the revision history. GitHub's important because when we change things and then we kind of like, it worked at one point and then we change it and then all of a sudden it stopped working. We're like, dude, I want to be able to go back to the code that I changed. And this kind of saves the revision history for coding, okay? And we can manage the chaos better, kind of thing. So make sure that we can connect to that somehow, or that anyone can connect to their own GitHub account and then share that with other developers, okay? That are members inside, okay? All right, so that way, because everything that we create will be internally to us, but I don't want that kind of out in the public. So anything that they create too should be inside, so we should be able to manage all the revisions with our own account, kind of thing, and share it internally. Okay. All right. So they have linked it there, and then there's these other alternatives: Node-RED, and LaBeta. These are all different ones, but if they don't have to visually create the components inside, then I may not go for it. But then sometimes there might be functions that we might need to create code in order to create a component, then yes, that's fine. But it seems like here, for all the components they have to create it by code, which means our programmer has created, someone in our team, in the community has to know code in order to create it. But if we can start by visualizing it in the beginning, then anybody can create it just by not having to know the code. They can just create it visually, kind of thing, by creating their own, components here. The MACD equation can definitely go in here easily. But if I have to code it, then that's going to be a drawback. So I want to make it easy for everyone to create the components themselves, even create their own ingredients. So I know that we're supposed to bring our own ingredients so that people can use, but I want us to make it so easy that anyone can create their own ingredients and contribute it to the community too. Okay. All right. Hopefully that helps to kind of look at it, ask the programmer to see what's best, performance wise and revision history wise, to be able to do this, and then go from there, and then go ahead and install it, and then everything will be inside the core UI, because that makes really good back-end admin. So this is already installed, so this might be a little section inside, and they can use the let's just choose one here. It'll be built in somewhere like, hey, flow-based programming or something like that. They click on it, and then they can go and drag and drop, and they'll be able to see inside this stuff here. It'll be embedded. Once they create it, they can create a dashboard and use some core UI stuff and graph stuff. Now there are other graph programs we'll talk about later. I think it's called HighChart or something like that, and they do some really high-end stock charts stuff. High stock chart, I don't know, that you can kind of pull in. And so this will probably be another video for next time to kind of see stock charts. Okay. Alright, cool. And this is a paid version, I think. It costs pretty pennies to do this. So, but there's also some free alternatives which I'll add later on as another task. But this is just to kind of look ahead. Okay. Alright, cool. Thank you. And please give me the best solution as a programmer, and then go ahead and implement it. And let's get it in there. Thanks.